Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Olga, and today I am going to talk to you about the heating and cooling systems, specifically the geothermal systems, which is one of the new sources of the renewable energy. Um, because I work in a company that offers a variety of heating and cooling options, I know a little bit about geothermal systems and about other systems. So I will be comparing them today and reviewing the advantages and disadvantages of the geothermal energy. So, what are the variety of the fuel sources available today? Some of them include natural gas, propane, fuel oil, biofuel such as firewood, electric, solar, and geothermal. And of course, with the climbing cost of heating fuels, people across the Northeast have been looking for ways to make their homes more efficient in winter time, and they've been looking for cleaner alternatives to burning fossil fuels. So, solar and geothermal heating systems have been a lot more popular lately. So, what is a geothermal system? A geothermal system basically consists of an indoor handling unit and a buried system of types called an earth loop. And the pump that reinjects well, that capitalizes on the constant temperatures that Earth provides to basically provide the free energy. So the pipes that make up the Earth loop are made of polyethylene and can be buried underground horizontally or vertically depending on the characteristics of the site. So if you have a little bit more land, then it will be horizontal. If you have a little less land, so it will be excavated and dug down. If the aquifer is available, engineers will prefer to install an open loop system in which the well is drilled in the underground water. However, if it's not available, then it's obviously going to be a closed loop system. And the water is pumped up, run past the heat exchanger, and then the water is returned to the same aquifer through reinjection. So the variety of the heating and cooling options that are provided in my company specifically and other companies vary. And some of these heating sources have been used for a number of years, such as gas or oil, and others are new that are coming up with renewable energy, such as solar or geothermal. However, I will also be talking about the electric heat pumps that have been a lot more popular lately, but are also a fairly new option. So the advantages of the gas heating is that natural gas is clean and it has the ability of keeping the prices fairly reasonable. So if you have the convenience, I guess, rather than the ability to have a gas pipe that is going to your home already, it is an unlimited source for you. You can use as much or as little of gas as you can afford. And gas footprint is relatively low. So it is one of the cleanest of the non-renewable energy sources. And the gas system are relatively clean throughout the heating season, so they're very easy to maintain. However, if you don't have that convenience of a gas line going to your home, it is rather expensive to run it, and it may not even be available in your neighborhood, so you have to consider that cost. So a lot of people turn to propane, and they would have propane tanks storing gas outside their home. And gas is a non-renewable energy source, so the current extraction methods include fracking, which has a devastating environmental effect. So comparing gas and geothermal, the basic question is the fuel source. So of course, natural gas furnace is going to be using natural gas, and the geothermal heat pump uses electricity. However, compared to the regular heat pump, geothermal heat pump is about 3 to 400% more efficient. And that basically means that geothermal heating costs are going to be as good or often better than what a gas furnace can produce. So, in addition, the geothermal system will provide heat more efficiently to your home, meaning when your gas furnace turns on, it provides that burst of heat initially and then just lets the house cool off before it provides the next burst of heat. Geothermal heats your home consistently. The next way of heating your home is oil heating. It is as well one of the older ways to heat your home. So one of the advantages, of course, is because it's easily accessible. I mean, you can have oil delivered to your home by truck. If you call a company, it is pretty cost effective, especially today. It provides substantial energy because gas furnaces are heated up at a lower temperature than oil boilers, so it does provide a lot more heat. And oil is relatively easy to transport. However, it causes great environmental pollution. It is it is dangerous to extract. It can provide oil leaks. I mean, we all know about the BP oil spill, as well as in some of the older homes where oil has been buried, oil tank has been buried in the ground because of the elements outside. Of course, the tank is starting to rust, the oil is beginning to leak. So, in some of the older homes or in the homes where the tank is stored outside, the tanks eventually begin to leak. And oil is a non renewable energy source, so eventually we're bound to run out. Comparing oil and geothermal, um, it is, of course, oil is one of the most popular sources of energy in the world, and oil is a fossil fuel, so it makes it a non renewable energy source. And energy is extracted from oil by burning it, and that heats up water, produces steam, and the result is electricity. So the original source of oil is coming from the sun. So when we compare the differences between the geothermal heating system and the oil heating system, geothermal has that initial cost attached to it that the oil heating system does not have. Especially if you're doing a retrofit, geothermal heating system is going to be considerably more expensive. And it would require a lot of space because it has to be dug up, it has to be landscaped for geothermal, and for oil, as long as you have a space to put a tank and you have an oil boiler, you're basically good to go. You can turn it on, and there you go. You have heat as long as you have oil to burn. However, the biggest difference we have is an environmental impact. So because oil is a fossil fuel, it's a non-renewable energy, and geothermal is a renewable energy. Of course, it's going to have that environmental impact. And heating oil industry is known as being dirty and old fashioned, and your oil boiler has to be maintained frequently because oil is dirty, and oil boilers and tanks are prone to leaking. The next heat source is an electric heat pump. So an electric heat pump, the advantages is basically safer than a combustion-based systems such as gas furnace or oil boiler. It reduces CO2 emissions, and it is a low maintenance and low running cost. It provides cooling in the summer, heating in the winter, and the equipment has a longer lifespan. However, compared to gas and oil, it is going to be a higher upfront cost, and it is fairly difficult to install. So if you are considering an heat pump, you should consider the company that is not only installing it, but will be able to maintain it after all. Heat pumps are not going to be as efficient in severe cold climates or severe hot climates. So you might have to consider a second or a third heat pump depending on how big your home is. And it is not entirely carbon neutral because there is an electricity required, and sometimes it does require a special planning permission. So when we compare the geothermal and electric heat pumps, both of them are definitely more efficient than gas and oil furnaces. But beyond this, there is a number of important differences. Number one is energy efficiency. Geothermal heat pumps are going to be considerably more energy efficient. Geothermal heat pumps operate between 300 to 600% efficiency, and air source heat pumps operate 175 to 300% efficiency. Geothermal systems, however, are going to come at a higher purchase price and installation cost. Because of that, and because you have to consider space, because geothermal system requires excavation, you're going to put in a lot of work and money to have a geothermal system put in, whether a heat pump just requires one pump for a smaller home or two pumps for a larger home. And geothermal systems are going to require a little bit more yearly maintenance than an air source heat pump, just because air source heat pump is going to be a little bit require a little bit less cleaning. Both of them will require yearly maintenance. However, it's a lot cheaper to maintain a heat pump than it is a geothermal system. When we're talking about the renewable energy, we have to talk about the solar energy, and it is becoming more and more efficient lately. And the advantages of the solar energy is clean and renewable source of energy. It reduces the use of commercially produced electricity and the production of greenhouse gases. The operating costs are near zero, and it is quiet with a few moving parts. However, the initial installation of the panels the cost is going to be still pretty high. And the production of the solar energy is still going to be influenced by the location of your home, by the presence of clouds or the pollution in the air, or are there trees? Is your area shaded? And you will need a pretty large area to install solar panels, and it may cause possible issues with the load bearing capacities on the roof. So, comparing geothermal and solar energy, the technology has, of course, advanced in recent years, but one thing that is still required for solar panels to work efficiently is the sun. So, if you live in a predominantly rainy or cloudy climate, the solar panels will lose their efficiency. However, because the ground temperatures are maintained consistently and heated up because of the sun, and they just maintain the temperature, geothermal systems are able to tap into this free energy with a series of underground pipes that's called an earth loop and provide consistent energy for your home. The installation of a geothermal system is more expensive, especially in retrofits. So comparatively, solar panels are just fastened to your roof and are a lot more traditional application, and in many municipalities the units can be leased, where the geothermal, if you purchase it, it is basically yours. So, for the pros and cons of geothermal systems, there are a variety. So, of course, the geothermal systems are environmentally friendly compared to gas or oil furnaces. They do not have an efficient source of pollution. They are efficient compared to 90% of even the best furnaces. Geothermal energy is a renewable source, and it is suitable for the smallest of the houses or the largest of the commercial spaces. There is no cost fluctuation that comes with gas or oil prices, and the moving heat that already exists, um, like I said, instead of heating up in bursts like an oil or a gas furnace, geothermal energy is moving heat that already exists. So it is very consistent heating up your home or cooling off your home. It is mostly underground, so it does have a minimal landscape footprint. It is not weather dependent like solar or wind power, and geothermal pumps work year round. The installation often offers considerable tax cuts. It is a quiet operation because there is no outdoor compressor or fan, and the technology behind geothermal energy will only continue to improve in efficiency. Right now, however, you have to consider pretty high upfront costs that are that you have to provide to install the geothermal system. And especially, you have to consider that if you have an older home, so it's going to be a retrofit. So you may have an existing landscape at your home already. So that's something you have to consider, because majority of that landscape is going to be dug up to lay down the pipe work. So it is more suited for newer home builds. Electricity is still needed to operate the heat pumps. However, like I said, the heat pumps for geothermal systems are a lot more friendly and a lot more efficient than regular heat pumps. There are a lot fewer installers and a lot of companies that will install the equipment for you. However, they will not maintain it. So, as with heat pumps, please be aware, for the companies that are offering to install the system but are not offering to maintain it. And that is something that we see a lot in our business, that people are calling. They've had geothermal installed in their home 2 or 3 years ago. They would like to maintain it, and the company that installed it for them failed to notify them that they do not maintain the systems. So that's something to consider. Sometimes the damage may occur to underground loops. So if it does, and you have some rodents or some tree roots that went through the loops, it can be difficult and costly to repair. However, as a homeowner, you would know that something like that may come with anything. It's very costly to repair or replace a septic tank or an oil tank that's buried underground. And large-scale geothermal power plants are still dangerous to Earth's surface and location-centric. So they still discharge into the oil and can include sulfur dioxide and silica. However, that is not um, so with the smaller geothermal systems that are used to heat up residential homes. So all in all, in conclusion, there are, of course, plenty of benefits for geothermal heating systems. I mean, it is a renewable resource and it is available for a commercial and a residential use. It is highly unlikely that it will become irrelevant and impossible. When geothermal systems first came out, they were considerably more expensive because they were a rarity. Now that there are a lot more companies are offering geothermal services, installation, and upkeep, I believe that they will become a lot more popular, and of course the costs will decrease. And of course, it is a nice implementation, and if it fits your landscape, location, and budget, I highly recommend it. And thank you for watching my presentation. All of the works cited are listed here, and I hope you have a wonderful summer. Stay healthy and well.